Lenia, can you please feel free to tell me when you want me to start?
Yes, so let's start at, I would say, at 3 p.m. sharp, so a couple of minutes.
All right.
Probably we can start now. Thank you.
Thanks, Lenia. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vangelis Petidis. I'm an assistant professor at the Institute for Global Sustainable Development at the University of Warwick. And it's a great pleasure and honor to be chairing today's discussion during the first Utopia Day on Sustainability and Climate Change, this roundtable. Before we start, and in order to kick off the discussions, I would like to present, first of all, the Utopia leads from all connecting or related universities. So I would like to introduce Tiziana Lipiello from Ca' Foscari University in Venice, Daniel David, Director for Bob's Bolyai University in Romania, Karin van der Kerken, Vice Rector for the Free University in Brussels, Ronan Herbert, Vice President from CSRG in University in Paris, Ursula Staudinger, Director for the Technische University of Dresden, Malin Broberg, Vice Chancellor of the University of Gothenburg, Gregor Majdit, Director for the University of Ljubljana, João Sagua, Director for the Nova University of Lisbon, and George Christou, the Deputy Pro Vice Chancellor from the University of Warwick. With these introductions, I will give the floor to Tiziana Lipiello, who will provide an introductory speech. And the floor is yours. Tiziana, we have approximately 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Vangelis. Dear colleagues, dear friends of Utopia, dear students, it is a great pleasure and honor for me to inaugurate this Utopia Day. We have chosen as a subject of the first Utopia Day, climate change and sustainability. It seems to me that this new moment allows us to show our communities that Utopia is much more than an international network. It is a driving force for change, a dynamic of transformation that we have chosen to embrace along with 49 other alliances, representing more than 500 universities on our continent. The proof of this is several joint initiatives that have a real impact on reality and help to enrich our perception and understanding of our reality steeped in the consequences of climate change, which is the topic we chose today. I would like to focus on 2 examples relevant for our Utopia Day. The first one, led by the University of Warwick and involving the Vrije Universiteit of Brussels, the University of Ljubljana, is dedicated to studying urban catastrophes and urban resilience since the Middle Age and the capacity of urban settlement to recover from environmental and man-made disasters. Urban reconstruction also brings to light the link between the built environment and local identity, the nature of social cohesion, the relation between state and civil society, and the emergence of transnational solidarity. We are concerned today with these topics, as not only do we suffer from drastic climate change, but also from brutal armed conflicts, such as in Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, Haiti. The second connected communities is environmental humanities, led by Ca' Foscari University of Venice and involving the University of Warwick, Nova University Lisbon, and TU Dresden. This is an interdisciplinary initiative to tackle environmental issues by integrating insights from the humanities with scientific knowledge. It is committed to fostering inclusive and accessible forms of engagement, aiming to amplify diverse voices and perspectives. What I found interesting about these two connected communities is the focus on empowering students. And this is the main reason we decided to create an annual Utopia Day. Through collaborative initiatives, students are given through EUTOPIA the opportunity to contribute to cutting-edge research and to join challenge-based learning activities such as workshops, hackathons, exchange, and that aim to engage them with environmental issues. I also want to point out that our alliance has devoted the first issue of its Utopia review to climate change and sustainability. And I would like to invite you to download the Utopia website, from the Utopia website, this exciting volume of studies proposed by the professors and experts from our universities. It is also significant that the Alliance inaugurated a new project last January that brings together our communities, Utopia Health, which will contribute, on the one hand, to strengthen the capacity of 3 universities from the widening countries, Babes, Bolyai, Ljubljana, and Nova, but also to integrate researchers from different fields related to broad questions of managing our planetary well-being in the context of the climate crisis. I could also expand on other initiatives and exciting initiatives such as EUTOPIA, which embeds sustainability in the curricula of business, finance, and economics bachelor programs at some of our universities. In conclusion, I want to stress that I really believe in the importance of what we are building jointly, and that I hope that this Utopia Day becomes the moment every year to arouse the interest of new people, to engage more students, faculties, more staff in increased cooperation with Utopia, including our partners outside Europe, in order to create an exemplary tissue which will allow us to consider the future with greater confidence in ourselves and in our knowledge. Together we can do it, and we will do it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this excellent call, Siana. That's really appreciated. We're really appreciative of that. And that's an excellent introduction to the rest of hopefully interesting roundtables. And I would like to invite Daniel David now to give a short welcoming as well. Excuse me, you can keep it to 2 minutes, it'd be great. Thank you.
Could you give a word to the General Secretary first, who is with us in Ljubljana, briefly to address the General Secretary of the EUTOPIA?
Yes, please. Sure.
Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining in this Utopia Day. It's a pleasure to me to see this Utopia Day happening, and for this first time to visit University of Ljubljana for the first occasions. And then I'm looking forward to the next Utopia Days in different universities of Utopia, and Gregor as well.
Okay, and I would also like to welcome everybody from University of Ljubljana. We are a founding member of the EUTOPIA, the very important initiative of European universities, which is bringing together 10 European universities tackling common issues. And I think in today's world, it's even more important than ever to bring together European ideas to ensure that our students will be raised in the European idea of democracy. And I'm especially happy that this first Utopia Day is dedicated to the climate changes, to the climate crisis. As we can see in the very recent days, last year was the most warm year on record with 1.5 centigrades warming. And in Slovenia, especially, we had in February the temperatures raising 5 centigrades above the long time average for the February, and I'm very worried that we are getting to to the edge where we could address this, and therefore it's very important that we are tackling this in EUTOPIA, because only with science we will tackle the climate crisis and ensure that our planet will remain hospitable for our children and grandchildren. I wish all a very successful day, and hopefully this will become, as Tiziana said, traditional EUTOPIA Day every year.
Thank you very much. Hopefully it will become. Yes. Thanks for this notice. Now the floor is to you, Daniel, David, for a short meeting.
Hello, this is Daniel David. I hope that you can hear me well. I just want to say that the UBB community is very happy to be part of the EUTOPIA community. The values of EUTOPIA should be strongly disseminated at all levels in our universities, be them educational level, research level, or the relationship to society. We honor this community. For example, we organize today the awards for our academic activities together with EUTOPIA Days, so that we could mobilize our whole academic community for this activity. Let me just show you briefly an image about this combination. And having said that, let us all have a happy EUTOPIA Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. This is excellent. It's really great to see such commitment and support and join people that are joining. Thank you so much. Now we'll turn to Karin van der Kerken from VUB for a short message as well.
Yeah, thank you. So dear students, dear staff, dear Utopians spread across Europe. So here's hello from Brussels. So the VUB in Brussels is very happy to join forces with our EUTOPIA partners to highlight climate change urgency, as just mentioned, and to mobilize our university communities for climate action. We have some high-level panelists speaking today, among which Professor Dr. Wim Thierry from our university, who is a world-renowned authority on modeling extreme events in a changing climate. But it's important to stress that EUTOPIA's commitment to climate action is not limited to this EUTOPIA Day, which is one festive day a year. On the contrary, the EUTOPIA partner universe work hard together to tackle climate change all year long. We do this, among others, via our EUTOPIA connected communities. They are thematic networks which unite students and staff in a co-creative learning and research journey. As coordinator of our connected communities, I'm happy to announce that 10 new topics for connected communities were selected to start working together, realizing joint education and research ambition. The new VUB-led connected community on digitization for hydroclimatic risk reduction, for example. Academics from our VUB, together with TU Dresden, University of Ljubljana, and University of Stellenbosch, will work closely together on closing the gap, the data gap on water quantity, water quality, and human interaction via citizen science project. They will furthermore define a roadmap towards a joint EUTOPIA master program in water and climate. Only exciting things ahead of us. VUB wishes everyone a happy EUTOPIA Day, but furthermore thanks all EUTOPIA staff and students working on climate change challenges throughout the year. So thank you.
Thank you very, very much for this excellent kind of Karin. I would like to invite Ursula Staudinger from the Technical University of Dresden now for a short message as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vangelis, for handing over the word. So you see behind me a very excited crowd of students and faculty. Yay! And we have already been discussing for almost 2 hours sustainability issues, climate crisis issues here at our university. And let me just tell you that it's one of our student groups. They are called TUVI, which are already 35 years old. And since 35 years, they have been active here at our campus, together with a more and more active administration, who is also here. We have a colleague from our infrastructure department, and they're working closely together, and our green office. So it's a topic that is deeply ingrained in the DNA of TUD. And we are now so happy, like in a Eurovision contest, we are joining forces across Europe with our EUTOPIA partner universities to even have a stronger impact. And that just excited us very much in the last 2 hours. And our colleague Edeltraud Günther, who will join the expert panel shortly, who is also the president of UNO Flores, one of the United Nations universities, has a focus on sustainability. So we are really excited. And we were actually discussing that one of the student activities, which is long-standing, is that they organize a lecture series for each semester on sustainability. And we were wondering whether we could actually think about an EUTOPIA lecture series where universities could take turn in this sustainability lecture. Just, you know, some food for thought, maybe it gels and it comes together so that we develop more impact across the 10 universities. And my last word, we were very excited as the leadership of TUD that in our excellence clusters, which have put their proposal in for competition, actually it will be decided in the next February, 2 of those clusters are on sustainability issues. One is for the sustainable electronics, the future of electronics and their sustainability. And the second one is not more, not less than building a sustainable construction industry, from the materials all the way to a circular economy approach. So we're very excited about this forefront of research, and that we hope will be successful. Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to more exchanges on sustainability within EUTOPIA. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the excellent message, Ursula, for the engagement as well. That's the reason that we're organizing these types of events. We want to investigate future synergies that we can possibly instigate with these types of discussions. I would move to Marlene Bromberg from the University of Gothenburg. Give us a message as well.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Marlene Bromberg, and I'm the Vice Chancellor of the University of Gothenburg. I am very proud that our universities have come together today to explore the crucial role of sustainability within our alliance. With the EUTOPIA Day manifestation, we recognize that scientific knowledge and our students are the most valuable resources in shaping a sustainable world for future generations. But as university leaders, we also have great responsibility to delve into innovative ideas regarding how to solve the goal conflicts within our own organizations, and think about how we can make members of our organization change their everyday behaviors and our own behaviors and decisions into being more sustainability conscious. As universities, we have the knowledge and therefore also the responsibility and obligation to act as an example for the rest of society. By collaborative initiatives and collective actions like this one, we can support each other in the important work towards a brighter, greener future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlene, for the great message. We'll move a bit faster now. I will move to Gregor Majdic from the University of Ljubljana.
We already had it. You can go to the next slide.
Already had. Thank you. Yes, because you were there. So João Salva, University of Lisbon. The name. You're on mute, João. But yeah.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. It's very nice to see you all. It's great to see you all. Today we celebrate the first EUTOPIA Day. This is in itself something that I think we should really celebrate. Every university belonging to the EUTOPIA Alliance is celebrating in the same day something, and we are celebrating no less than sustainability and climate change. I don't equate sustainability with climate change. One has just to think about the 16 Sustainable Development Goal about peace to see how this impacts on climate change, but in a sense it is an independent agenda. But today we celebrate the climate change, and I think sustainability as a whole and climate change in particular reflects our commitment to address one of the most pressing challenges of our time. It is not a distant threat looming on the horizon. I think that it is a reality that confronts us every day. From the rising sea level submerging coastal communities, something that worry us very much in Portugal. We even have a Synergy ERC grant about this topic, to the extreme weather events wreaking destruction on lives and livelihood. Well, but despite the challenges we face, there is an opportunity to forge a path towards a more sustainable and resilient future if we can combine our knowledge and have impact to, let us say, construct a better future. And the Utopia, I think, stands on the forefront of this movement, raising awareness, fostering collaboration, mobilizing knowledge, and driving action at local, national, and global level. At NOVA, we decided to do this in a very decentralized way. So each of our 9 schools carries out a specific initiative regarding this, the topic of climate change on behalf of NOVA participation in Utopia Alliance. So we have debates, roundtable, interactive sessions and workshops. And we decided like this because for us it was important to have the commitment of the schools locally. All these initiatives aimed at fostering meaningful dialogue and driving solutions towards a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's great to see these initiatives. And last but not least, the Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor for European Collaborations from the University of Warwick, Professor George Christie.
Thank you very much, Vangelis. Excuse me. Welcome, colleagues. Welcome, students, to our celebration of Utopia Day. It's a great pleasure to be here on behalf of our president, Professor Stuart Croft, to provide some brief opening remarks. And I will be brief because I know we want to get on to the real discussion here on climate change. But we're all in agreement, I think individually and within EUTOPIA, that this is the major challenge of our time that will affect us now and will affect our future generations. So at Warwick, we very much enjoy the fact that we are part of an EUTOPIA alliance that is committed to contributing to knowledge production, skill development, policy ideas, and action that will create and contribute to innovative solutions to the issues of climate change and sustainability going forward. We recognize that this is a local, a national, a regional, a global problem. And a recent example of what Warwick has been doing in this space, which I think Vangelis will be able to say more about if he wishes, I'm sure he will, is the Institute for Global Sustainable Development Sustainability Training School, which ran just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, between the 15th and 19th of April, which very much, I think, characterizes what Warwick is trying to do in relation to making this I guess, a global issue. It's quite remarkable, really. We had, it was based on early career researchers, brought together an interdisciplinary group of researchers from 18 countries and 5 continents. And very pleased to say that EUTOPIA representatives were also key participants in the discussions and some of the ideas that came from that training school. Today, again, I think Vangelis, you're in the spotlight because you'll be running a workshop on serious games for transdisciplinary sustainable development later on, which I very much look forward to attending. Everybody is excited about the workshop. And I will finish with a final word to say that Warwick is a committed European university an EUTOPIAN, and we believe that critical challenges such as climate change can only be addressed collectively and together through the EUTOPIA Alliance and alliances such as this. Final word, I wish everybody a highly stimulating, enjoyable, and very happy EUTOPIA Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Indeed, Warwick is investing a lot in sustainability, and you mentioned most of the things, many of the things I'm doing, just a snippet. But without further ado, I would like to move towards the roundtable because we have a collection of really well-esteemed and great researchers from across the universities of EUTOPIA, and we would like to start some initial discussions and get to know a little bit what type of research has been undertaken across the different EUTOPIA universities. So I would like to introduce Wim Thierry from the Free University of Brussels, Aniket Mitra from Cergy University in Paris, Luka Mladenovic from the University of Ljubljana, Patricia Forches from the Nobel University of Lisbon, Enrica Decian from Ca' Foscari. Apologies for if I'm not pronouncing your names well, I'm really sorry about that. From Ca' Foscari University in Venice, Thomas Turner from the University of Gothenburg, and Günther Entfaud from TU Dresden. And we're going to be having targeted discussions. I would like to set up the first question, which refers to the Sustainable Development Goals. And since we're reaching 2030, quickly approaching, the Sustainable Development Goals are entering the last phase of their implementation. What kind of urgent issues mentioned in the Sustainable Development Goals and directly addressed by the Sustainable Development Goals are you currently trying to address throughout your research? And I would like to extend this question to Thierry, to Thierry, Aniket, Luca, and Patricia. So I would give the floor first to Wim to start with that question, and then if anyone wants to join on that and wants to keep that up, please let me know. We'll have 15 minutes for this question, but so let's make, I would like to ask you to make it as concise as possible. Let's start with Wim.
Yes, thank you very much, Vangelis. So we are mostly focusing on SDG climate action, where we are trying to better understand what climate change means and how research can support the transition towards a low carbon economy. I would like to maybe start by saying that today we are indeed in a climate crisis where we are seeing climate change happening all around us. A paper which has just been published for review in a leading journal in our field shows that we are today at 1.3 degrees of warming. The climate has warmed by 1.3 degrees. The last 12 months were 1.5 degrees warmer. So we are getting a sneak peek of what a 1.5 degree climate looks like in 10 years from now. If you look at where we are heading with our current pledges, we are heading towards 2.4 degrees of warming if you take all climate plans from different countries in the world together. And if you look not at the climate promises, but at the actual plans, we are heading towards 3 degrees of warming by the end of this century. Now, in our research, we are calculating what this means for young people that are being born today in Europe and all around the world. And we have been developing a website at VUB where we quantify this, and I will just show this here behind me now. In this website where you can surf to, which is called myclimatefuture.info. On myclimatefuture.info, you can select the birth year. You can select a warming scenario and a world region, and then you can find out immediately in real time what climate change means for you. For example, if you take a child born in 2017 with climate promises, living, for example, in Europe and Central Asia, you will find in real time that this person will experience twice as many wildfires, 4 times more tropical cyclones, 7 times more droughts, and 23 times more heat waves. If you then take a 1.5 degree scenario where there is more climate action, you actually see that these numbers, they get drastically less, especially for heat waves, for example. So this clearly shows the motivation for climate action, why we are taking climate action, because young people living today, they have the most to lose when we go to high warming levels. But you can also turn this message around and say that young people today, they have most to gain if we increase our ambition and if we limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. And from this type of research conducted at VUB, but also in close collaboration with EUTOPIA partners, we can only conclude that we must limit global warming to 1.5 degrees to safeguard the future of current young generations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wim. That's really interesting. We'll definitely have a look at that. Aniket, give the floor to you, please.
I hope I am audible. Out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the UN, Goal 13 focuses on taking urgent action to combat climate change and its effects. And the Goal 14 focuses on conserving and sustainability using our oceans and other marine resources. So myself and my team at GEC Laboratory of CY Sarji University and AMGC Laboratory of VUB are working towards these goals by building climatic models from the geologic past. Actually, the surge in present global warming is considered a key driver of the 6th big mass extinction event currently underway. My research tackles this critical concern by drawing parallels between past environmental crises and this present one by focusing on how the warming phase has impacted the biodiversity of invertebrate community, particularly the mollusks. Why mollusks? Because mollusks are one of the most remarkably diverse phylum of the marine ecosystem for the last 65 million years, that is called the Cenozoic era. And they occupy a wide range of habitats from the estuarine setting to shallow shelves to deep marine. So to know about the marine setting and the settings related to the marine community, mollusks are one of the key elements or the proxy. If we just look at the beginning of this Holocene time that started around 11,700 years ago at the end of the last ice age, we can see a decline of 49% loss of genera and 20% loss of families within this bivalve community itself. And this kind of loss has previously been witnessed in around 65 million years ago at the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary and at the Permian-Triassic boundary. And these two events are considered one of the biggest two mass extinctions event in the whole geologic past. There is another thing we should keep in mind, that the extinction depth. Now, this extinction depth is something like a habitat has been lost already, but the genus or the family can survive up to certain time. But after that time, it will go extinct. So presently, a lot of these families that are already surviving, they are going through this habitat loss. So they will go extinct very soon. So they are already endangered. This kind of event has already happened in the past. If we just look into a kind of time when around 40 million years ago, when there was a kind of cooling phase throughout the earth, the cryospheres were forming, then a warming phase happened. And similar kind of warming phase is happening right now as well, within a major cooling or ice house phase. But there is a difference because this warming is just the man-made or anthropogenic warming. Just my previous panel member has already discussed about it. So we have to harness this thing, because if this warming trend continues under the shared socio-economic pathway of 5 to 8.5, it can reach to a similar level of like 5 to 10 degrees of temperature rise and a serious rise of carbon dioxide concentration level, which has significantly increased from the last industrial revolution over the last 250 years. It will rise more, and it can reach to an alarming level where all the biodiversity will become under a serious threat. So my research is targeted to decipher the effects of that kind of warming events that happened around 40 million years ago during the time of Eocene global warming. What kind of effects that has been put into the morphology and diversity of the bivalve community and the mollusks to build a model and mitigate the situation of this present climatic crisis. Thank you.
Excellent. Really quite depth of research that has been undertaken regarding sustainable development goals, different types of things are being addressed. Luca, the floor is yours now.
Thank you. So in my research, I'm focusing mostly on challenges related to sustainable mobility. This means focusing on transport sector related to spatial planning. We know that transport is one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions, but also it's the sector with most problems to reduce these emissions, with big challenges in the next years, even to stabilize, let alone to achieve the goals we set up to 2030 and 2050. So we are now quite positive that transport sector on its own will not be able to reach these goals. Other sectors will need to support it, and therefore the integration with land use makes so much sense. From the point of view of this integration, the approaches are relatively simple. In principle, we want to reduce the need for travel, for trips, for everyday trips, or in other examples, to reduce the distances that people need to travel daily to work, to school, to university, so that as many as possible of these trips could be done without personal vehicles, so on foot, by bicycle, or by public transport. In our research, we are focusing on the obstacles in reaching this change. So we focus on all levels of authorities, from national to legislation and subsidies, from regional and local administrations, all the way to companies, institutions, and last but not least to individuals. What we as individuals can do to change our behavior and travel habits. And there are two concepts now that we are focusing on quite a lot. One, it's the city of short distances, which received a lot of attention lately. So the basic of this concept is that we start building cities where all key activities and programs will be within our reach in 15-minute walk or cycling, and not 45 minutes drive, as it was a custom in the last year. Another promising area of research is development of a new accessibility model that is based on balancing three elements, not just one, of accessibility. So besides development of the transport system, also focusing on spatial proximity, but also on digital accessibility. So what the digital access can help us to reduce the need to travel. And in light of this approach, we can understand the planning of sustainable mobility in a broader and probably more appropriate context that will help us reduce the emissions more efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luca. Third different angle, third different topic that is being covered related to sustainable development goals. We're talking about transport, digital footprint in this case. So we will close this first session, this first question with Patricia.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation. So in our group, in the Center of Environmental and Sustainable Research, we are very concerned with the fact of energy transition and climate mitigation is not moving as fast as we need. So our research agenda aims to contribute to this acceleration. All of us know that significant mitigation requires a widespread adoption of technologies like electric vehicles or carbon capture or even green hydrogen that everybody's talking about. However, the widespread adoption of these technologies are taking too much time, and we are trying to analyzing other aspects, other alternatives. So we are focused now in understanding what could be the role of circular economy for climate mitigation, to accelerate this climate mitigation. If we consume less, if we extend products' lifetime, if we increase our recycling and manufacture rates, or if we have shared behavior in terms of, for example, mobility that we have talked about, how this can contribute to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and contribute to climate, to accelerate these climate mitigation efforts. And we are trying to develop and improve integrated assessment models that are usually used to support energy and climate mitigation scenarios, but they ignore this role of circular economy. So we are trying to improve this kind of models and also understand the role of a circular economy for climate mitigation. And in this sense, we are also focus in another sustainability goal, like having a more sustainable consumption patterns. We are also very worried with the fact that we think that the critical issue to accelerate this energy transition and climate mitigation is to empowering people and guarantee that there will be a fair and quality transition. So we are involved in several projects, including 2 live projects, where we want to provide this science-based knowledge to educate and assist people and undertaking green renovation of their homes. So we want people to have informed choices so they can overcome not just technology barriers, but also economic. So we want to understand and provide information about supporting schemes that allow people to have these more green renovation of their homes issues. And some of you may know that, for example, energy poverty is still an issue in some EU countries. It is a huge issue in countries like Portugal, for example, because people don't have enough the capital to invest in these technologies to heat their homes and to renovate. So with this project, we also want to tackle this problem of energy poverty. We also are involved in another live project where we want to assist municipalities to co-design practical, ambitious, and also just energy plans. We want to explore the role and the importance, for example, of energy communities, how this could contribute to accelerate this climate mitigation and also contribute to have a more sustainable cities and communities, which is also a sustainable goal that is important for us. So in our group, as you can see, we are not just trying to understand what are the challenges, but also trying to develop research that allow us to provide us solutions that accelerate this necessary energy transition and climate mitigation. Thank you very much.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Patricia. And with this really interesting topic of energy poverty, of greenhouse gas emissions specifically, we conclude the first session of this roundtable. Wide variety of projects tackling different sustainability development goals across the university. And with that, we're moving towards the second question and the rest of our participants in this roundtable. And the question is, based on your experience and research, is it possible to combine environmental conservation and economic development? And if so, how? So we're moving a little bit more targeted to a specific way of targeting sustainability. And with that, I would like to give the floor to Enrica to start the discussion.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to this event. And I would like to start by commenting on these questions by saying that, let's say that the question in the first place is an indication of how we came to sort of a misconception of how economic has been used over the past 150 years. Because if you go back to the founding fathers of economics, actually reconcile economic development and economic conservation was precisely one of the main objectives that moved economists and those scientists who contributed to the development of the discipline. And specifically, the improvement of human well-being and human welfare was really a core question of economics as it started off at the end of the 19th centuries. And those economies that started off at that time had in mind some important environmental issues, such as addressing the external effect of air pollution associated with the Industrial Revolution, with agricultural activities, how to ensure a sustainable use and management of forests over time in such a way that the resources would be able to regenerate. So, I mean, and if you go back even to really, I would say, the founding father of welfare economics, and also the person who laid the ground of environmental economics, Arthur Pigou, he was really thinking about how to improve our society. And he was the one, let's say, comparing economics to medicine as a science that can really help heal society. And he was working in the aftermath of the World War I. So economics is really about social improvement, which can be defined as what you have when your life is going well. And economics, I believe, can contribute to address this question that was posed at the beginning: how can we reconcile economic development and environmental conservation? Because economists have put forward some tools that can be used in order to understand, let's say, when societies fail, when some institutions such as markets fail, and how we can intervene in order to change the course of actions to make it more sustainable. Economics is the science of individual and collective behaviors in the presence of scarcity. It has the tool to understand motivations behind actions, which also means that it has the tools to understand how to fix behavior when behavior is leading to social dilemma and is not going in the direction that is good for the society. Economics is a key discipline that can be used to deliver solutions in the management of the challenges that we are facing today. It has the tool to make sense of the large and huge amount of data that nowadays we have, in such a way to establish relationships that can inform policy design and policy evaluation. Economics, it really gives us the tool to evaluate how policy can be designed to address some of the issues that we face today. And I just would like to conclude by saying sharing two additional considerations. The first one, I think over time, and many scholars, especially from other fields of studies, tend to have a misconception about economics, which probably comes from the fact that, let's say, GDP, which at the beginning was sort of a metric to measure progress, became a goal and an end in itself. So we could move forward in our attempt to reconcile economic development and conservation by changing the goal in itself. It's not GDP growth, but it could be probably something more broadly defined, such as well-being of people, and perhaps not only of people. And I would like to conclude by saying that this question can also be, let's say, rephrased by asking, for example, how, especially because we're talking about climate change. So let's say this question could also rephrase by asking, how can we reconcile adaptation to the changes in material condition that we are experiencing? I mean, because of climate change, really geography is changing, and our societies needs to adapt. We know that human beings have the capability of adapting, but the speed at which things are changing is extremely rapid. So this is the new challenge, is really the speed of how to adapt. So the question is, how can we reconcile adaptation to these quick and fast changes in material condition with mitigation with the need of addressing some of the Sustainable Development Goals that were discussed before, specifically those related to greenhouse gas emissions. And yes, I mean, I didn't talk about what we do in Venice, but in Venice we've been studying these issues since 2007. We have the first PhD program specifically dedicated to the science and management of climate change. It has been there since 2007. We also have a Master of Research and many projects that touch upon many of the issues that were also discussed in the previous sessions. And I would be happy to elaborate a bit more on our research at Ca' Foscari if needed, if there are questions.
That's excellent. I think we can have some space to discuss that maybe a bit later. Thank you so much, Enrica, for this very interesting insights, And I would like to give the floor to Thomas Stern.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you all, even if it's only virtual. I'd like to start by saying that your question is upside down in some sense. It's not only possible to combine economic conservation and development, I would say that it's impossible to have any real development without conservation. We are heading into a number of gigantic environmental disasters, climate change with somewhere between 2.5 to 3 degrees of warming, biodiversity loss, rampant spread of chemicals, and so on. These problems are not consistent with economic welfare and development. They would not allow for welfare. So we have to have environmental conservation. We have to deal with these environmental problems in order to have a true development. I studied this through a number of projects. For instance, I used the integrated assessment model for which Nordhaus got the Nobel Prize, but we have modified it. Bill has had optimal warming of 3.5 to 4 degrees, and we have corrected, we think, his model so that it gives an optimum of somewhere around 1.7 degrees instead. The exact number is, of course, not easy to know, but it's better. And we integrate now methane and dinitrous oxide, even air travel, contrails, and other things into this model, which it provides a useful tool for developing policy. So to answer the operative question of how do we combine conservation and development, it is through environmental economic instruments. We need policy instruments basically that internalize the price of carbon and a series of other prices. And so some of my research is on using DICE, for instance, to explore intricacies of methane or compared to carbon and so forth. I also do research on policy acceptance. We know that we have a large sector of population that opposes environmental policy and climate policy. And I think we should also know that this is strongly encouraged by the fossil lobbies. And this is an area into which we are doing a lot of research with surveys and that kind of instrument. A third area of research I work on is discounting. All these problems are very long run, and we need to understand how to update values. Say we have the value of biodiversity today, which is hard to get. But suppose we have a value of biodiversity or ecosystem services or something. We showed in a recent article in Science how to update this. The traditional models are, in my opinion, wrong because they don't take the increasing scarcity into account. In the future development of the economy, we will have more and more goods, produced goods, watches and phones and that kind of thing. And we will have less and less ecosystem resources of various kinds. And we need to understand this relationship, which will drive an increase in the price of the scarce resources. So for future calculations, we need to take into account the expected appreciation of ecosystem resources and resources like biodiversity. That is quite crucial for long-run integrated assessment, long-run cost-benefit analysis, long-run national accounting, and so on. I thought I would be concise.
I was really concise, really thought-provoking as well, because I was from what you started, well, from the discussion that you started, the way that you started it, that we have to do it. It's imperative that we do it together. So something that we might touch upon a little bit later in the discussion.
I have to catch a plane to Brussels actually to talk about policy making, so I can only stay a few more minutes.
Thank you so much for your message and for your that was really interesting. If we have time, we will discuss it. And the floor now to our last but definitely not least discussant today, Gunther Entertraut from TU Dresden.
Thank you very much and welcome to Saxony, where the tension between environmental degradation and economic development coined the term sustainability, sustainable development in 1713. Mining, we now discuss phasing out of lignite mining. Mining at that time was booming. And they had to cut all the forests for energy, but also for stabilizing the tunnels. And then all of a sudden they realized we have a problem. So this is a tension for sure. And thank you, Enrica, also, and also Thomas for questioning the question. That would have been my first comment as well. And I just would like to share some of our research. When we talk about environmental degradation, we here at TU Dresden and also at an institute of United Nations University that closely collaborates with TU Dresden speak of the nexus of environmental resources, so the resource nexus. That means, and that could also be quite interesting for collaborating within EUTOPIA, that we really do not only look at climate or water or soil or biota, but we see the interconnectivity. You mentioned that already, the nexus of resources that also has implications for teaching, for example, that we break down those different areas and connect them. And I'm a business researcher by background, and when we speak of economic development and of innovations, we really capture all the different types of innovations, like product innovation, process, but also organizational innovations, business model innovations, and even communication, marketing innovations. If we look into research, and this is now based on theoretical and also empirical research, we see 4 different theories, streams on the interconnectivity of environmental resources and economic development. One is, that is what we always like to use, it generates value to save the environment. So stakeholders are more happy, you have better water quality, and in the end it pays. But there's also the other stream, often referred to, the Nobel Prize winner Friedman, who said the business of business is business, not saying that we should not be sustainable or not environmentally oriented, but he just meant pay your taxes, pay your employees a decent wage, and then focus on your business. But still, this is very often used as an argument for the trade-off between the two that was maybe meant by this question. And then there is the other direction, where there is clear evidence that we need slack resources. We need resources for EUTOPIA, for example. We at United Nations University work a lot in the Global South. You first need resources to clean, for example, water. And then you can work based on that. So slack resources are needed. And this is really key and a core of business research. We have managerial opportunism. There are many studies that clearly show, and Thomas spoke of the time perspective, if you incentivize managers with short-term incentives, then they focus on short-term profit. And this is then also something we have to know. If we then look in, so there we have those four directions. And of course, you have vicious circles if you combine them, or virtuous circles, or they balance out. If we look in empirical studies, we clearly see, and this is very often used as an argument, it pays to save the environment. And we have many examples for this. But then if you have a closer look, either with a vote counting or meta-analysis, you see there is a considerable amount of studies with no clear results. And so the first 10 years, I ignored those results, but more and more I thought, why is this the case? And therefore now I really rephrased the question, and that was already said by Enrica and Thomas with different words, that we should no longer ask the question, does it pay, or are they somehow congruent, but how does it pay? How can we combine both? And then we have different ways of innovations. For example, we move away from products and go to services, or we have what Rector Ursula Staudinger said, those two examples for excellence clusters, one on responsible electronics and the other on the future of construction materials. Then you design innovations in a different way, and that also helps. And then a last word, very often we realize it does not work, and then we develop something new. One recommendation, and I forgot who presented it already, is really to look into obstacles and looking into barriers instead of doing something new. So far from Saxony, from Dresden here, and thank you for all the inspirational contributions so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Günther, for this really interesting and very thought-provoking message for everyone. Unfortunately, we have run a little bit out of time, but I didn't want to stop anyone because there were really interesting things that were discussed in here today. I had prepared last kind of question for the discussion, but mostly it's for people that are in higher levels than ours, for the EUTOPIA leads to consider, because EUTOPIA provides an excellent platform for collaboration, and sustainability and climate change is a topic that is being addressed across our universities. And it's a topic that is gaining interest. It's a topic that it will be inevitably in the center of research and of its attention. It's also involved into our teaching. So it would be great if we can find ways of deepening that type of collaboration. Using EUTOPIA Day today, it's an interesting way of meeting people who are doing research on that, on issues around sustainability and climate change, but deepening the discussions and finding synergies. Using EUTOPIA as a platform would be something really, really for us to consider, and something really great for all of us. There are funding opportunities, but I think bringing people together, with like-minded people together, and thinking about funding, not just through the EU, but through our universities, and through looking at research, through looking at students who are doing similar research, would be a great step forward. For me personally, this is a very interesting opportunity to lead this topic, because as I said before, we led the Sustainability Training School. We evolved EUTOPIA into the Sustainability Training School. That was a training school focused on early career researchers. We tried to gain the attention of the universities, but it would be great if we can move and if we can instigate and start discussions in higher levels of deepening that collaboration. Us at the Institute of Global Sustainable Development would be more than happy to spearhead that from Warwick's perspective. But we would be extremely positive in finding collaboration schemes and synergies through using EUTOPIA partners into that. Are there any comments that anyone would like to make as a closing comments on anything, or any types of anything that has been discussed today? No, I don't see that as the case. So I would like to thank everyone for participating into the roundtable. I would like to thank Utopia for inviting me to share the discussion. And that was a really interesting and thought-provoking discussion, food for thought for many people. I am definitely going to see the research that has been presented today and try to reach out to people that might connect with my personal research. I would like to express my gratitude and my best wishes for the successful first Utopia Day, and really looking forward to next year as well, and to the rest of the stuff that you have created for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.